Hey everybody! Hey everybody! Welcome back to the Spitter Rack. I'm here with my boy Petey. Say what's up, Petey.
What's up?
Hey, today we're going to be talking about that hot show, Ahsoka. Number one thing hitting Disney Plus right now. They dropped episodes 1 and 2, and we wanted to go over it because you guys are Star Wars fans just like us. So hey, Petey, I'll give you the basic breakdown of what this show is about. It basically follows. This is really, if you ask me, did you see Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, which was an animated show? This is season 5, and Rebels was basically took place in the right during the beginning of the rebellion, when the rebellion starts up, and how this particular cell in the Lothal system coalesced with characters such as Ezra, who's a new Jedi, Kanan Jarrus, who was a Jedi from the Jedi Temple who escaped and changed his name, Sabine Wren, who's a Mandalorian. She's part of, and she's running away from her destiny. But here we see that she is actually a Padawan to Ahsoka, and of course we all know Ahsoka, who is the Anakin Skywalker's apprentice, or excuse me, Padawan at one point, and she is now a master in the Force. Though technically she's not a Jedi, and of course we have to give all thanks to Dave Filoni, who's done a fantastic job of developing this character over many seasons on Clone Wars, on Rebels, and in the books, and in here now. So, Petey, we are starting off now with the opening scene of Ahsoka, where we see her do some bad off the chain stuff, where she
Well,
circles around.
where did these dark what's it, Sith lords come from?
Okay, so what the very first part where we see is basically an escape by a person who was a Jedi and who seemed to have stayed low, because now this show is taking place right after the rebellion has defeated the Empire. Several years now that's gone by, and the remnants, as if they call the Empire, the people who still believe in the Empire, they're still out there, and causing some problems to the rebellion government that runs Imperial space. So right now, we saw in Mandalorian, Ahsoka fought someone who's a Night Sister, and of course, unfortunately, this is all lore that comes in from the Clone Wars, where we see it's like a Jedi sect, but instead of using the Jedi mind tricks as the Force, they're using it more as magic, and so they're witches in essence, but they use the Force to do what they have to do, basically. We have
So they're not Sith lords,
no. See
but
what
they
happened.
got they got freaking lightsabers.
Oh, I'm gonna get to that in a
They're
second.
using the lifting and tossing everything, using blade and
So exactly. So what we have here in Ahsoka, we have a character who was once a Jedi, who is now independent. What happened? Remember, we all recall what happened when Anakin went bad. He went to the Jedi Temple and started killing all the different Jedi's, and even the kings and the younglings. So this particular Jedi, Balin Sokol, he was in the academy around the same time as Anakin, and so he knew of Anakin. He even knows of Ahsoka too. So and he spoke to Anakin. Excuse me. So it seems what happened when the Empire was in charge. He laid low. We don't know a lot of the backstory, but what we can get, he laid low so the Empire didn't come after him, and he was able to get his own apprentice. Shin Hati, I think that's her name too. The young girl, the blonde, the crazy-looking blonde. Uh, but so what happened here is that you have two. What they're basically trying to show you is that the Jedi is just was a very successful manifestation of people who use the Force, and they had a set of rules. But being a Force user or someone who's sensitive to the Force, it's just not only a Jedi. You don't have to necessarily be a Sith or a Jedi. It's just not black and white. There are other people who can use it for different things. It's just like you want to use, so Jedi teach a certain thing. They're like the samurai of the Force. But we see it, and if you didn't see Rebels delves into it more, and it was also touched base in Clone Wars, where you have other entities, the Mortis Lords, you have the Bendu, which basically say that having the Force, being a Force wielder, doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a Jedi. It just Jedi is more like you have Catholics, right, and then you have Christians, and Catholics are the largest group. That's what the Jedi, they were large, successful. They have a particular tenet, but you have many other Christian groups. Think of it like that. You don't have to follow it. and people have different manifestations of it. So we're going too much into the weeds, my friend. So
We got to, because I don't understand how we got this call from a Jedi, but at the same time, they're like, we let you in, but I don't think you're Jedi. And you're right. Kill everybody. And like they take over the whole ship. It's like, wait a second. Keep them, the captain should not be going down there. They should be in the airlock and say, hey, let me see who you are. And if you act up, we're
I
going to
agree.
jettison you.
I agree with you. You should not be going down. Someone else should be in there, especially when you think it's a fake. Remember, most people in the universe, even when the Jedi were at their prime, didn't see Jedi. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, the most they've ever had, I think, was around 10,000. And so, on average, these guys, they're rarely seen. They only go to specific things. The Jedi usually stay within the confines of their place. They're like monks almost. Yeah, like monks, warrior monks. So you're not seeing these guys on the street area, so no one's really meeting these guys. It's like, who is this guy? Is this guy really a Jedi? This is the guy here in stories and stuff like that. So yeah, and I think this is going to be one of the big things, trying to get people to understand that it's not the simple story of just black and white, the Jedi and the Sith, and you have, which has been basically the lore for 20, 30 years. Now you're trying to develop a more complicated thing where things are not always crystal clear. So yeah, so getting back to it, you're right. Balin and his apprentice, they go in and they free.
Oh yeah, they free that woman.
They free her. They free the woman. What's her name? Her name is. I got this on the tip of my tongue. She is a night sister, so she's like a witch, and she basically Morgan Elsbeth is her name, and she works for Thrawn. It seems now.
What story is she from? The animation, the animated, the Rebel.
Animated. You remember Darth Maul? She's Darth Maul. She is in the same race of Darth Maul, right?
Okay.
She's the female version, where Darth Maul is the male version, But the thing here is Grand Admiral Thrawn. Everybody's afraid of what he's going to come, because this guy is an alien who is probably one of the best military strategists around, and they're afraid. Even the Empire remnants, the generals and warlords who are around, are scared of him because they're afraid he's going to come in and just take it all over. So, but she's a supporter of his, and she's trying to get him to come back. They've discovered where he is, and that's what the whole basis of these two episodes were, trying to get the star map to figure out where he was and to get back. One thing that the Morgan Elsbeth and her people, they have the ability to like sense other people from other places or where they're at. So it's not like, so that she's able to sense that Thrawn is there, Thrawn is coming, Thrawn wants to come or whatever. And I guess we'll see more as it comes in. It's just an incredible amount of space. You're talking about an entire another galaxy. She understands and hears them. So that's, I always have problems with that. But hey, we gotta think about it, what we're going to do. So yeah, getting back to what you were saying, yeah, he's able to get on the ship. He's able to incapacitate them. Of course, they're doing the classic Darth Vader walkthrough. When Darth Vader gets on the ship, and so they wanted to evoke that particular type of thing. And of course his apprentice. But it was a good move, So I liked it. Now the question I have for you is, now getting back to Ahsoka, did you see the first scene where she's battling the robots? And they're saying these are like robots from Thrawn, but again, I don't know how he's able to do that when he's so far away, or whether he's doing it, whether Morgan Elsbeth is doing it herself. So probably need to find out a bit more about that. But it wants to showcase how badass she is right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, and it does a good job. The two lightsabers, the fact she did that spinning thing, which she's done before in the animated version.
So they're pretty happy with themselves having Ahsoka in daylight and all of the taking an animated character and showing her in the daylight so you can see all this. So they're like, hey, look how cool she is. Then she goes down into the ground for a second, but at the same time, there was like a big show you that, hey, look at the text, look at everything we did for her. We hooked it up. So,
and you know what? Rosario Dawson looks great. And when they put the fan art, all the time I used to think of the voice actor who used to do it. It would be the Tano. I was like, yo, how do they do Rosario Dawson? But remember, we saw a fan picture years ago about her being Ahsoka, and I'm like, wow, she does look good as Ahsoka. And the only element that I have in as we go through it is just that, I guess it's a more adult, more world weary Ahsoka over time versus what we saw before in the Clone Wars and the and Rebels and stuff like that. Is that she is a lot tougher. You know, one of the reasons she was put together with Anakin was because Anakin was unconventional. You know, she was
Mhm.
exuberant, and they figured he would be the one best able to, since he's a little bit of that, he was a lot like that, best able to control her and mold her into being a Jedi and stuff like that. But now we have like serious Ahsoka. You know, what I'm trying to say there's no laughter. Everything is hardcore. And that's pretty interesting development. And I guess because she knows that Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader, and she blames herself for it, because she wasn't there. And again, unfortunately, this show you really to really understand a lot of stuff, you really should have seen parts of Rebels. Not every episode. You should have seen the Clone Wars, the last season of Clone Wars, where you explain where Ahsoka. Um, Ahsoka was there with Anakin, but then was sent to Mandalore to help free it. And he went back, and then that's how he started going to the dark side himself. But it's pretty interesting there. But we
So it's
digress.
his fault then. It's his fault,
Her
right?
fault. Her fault. Her
Her
fault.
fault, right? That's what you're saying. She shouldn't have left him. Even though she was the Padawan, somehow it's her fault.
Yeah, that's what she feels like. But hey, how did you like the character? So they're looking for this spice, like I said, this holocron, so they can get a space map
Oh
together.
yeah, yeah. She goes to the thing and she gets that artifact.
But they go back to Lothal. So how do you like Lothal? You've never seen Lothal before. It's the city with the white spears. The city they're on. That was
Um, I mean, it's interesting. It was wasn't like a wasn't it was okay. It looked cool, but it's like I don't know. I'd have to go back to you. Are you feeling good about this series, or you think it needs some time to cook?
still. I think I'm feeling very good, but I do think that there's still always going to be a little bit more time to cook as the actors gel and get into their roles, and
Mhm.
more of the stuff is explained for people. And I think like Lothal looked fantastic. It literally looks the same as on the animation. Even the and what do they call those cats? I should know the name of the cats. These cats, the the loft, not the loft wolf is the loft wolf cat. I forgot the name of it. And so the
Mhm.
cats, you see them in the grasslands and stuff like that, and they stick up their head and they stick back down. It's like
Mhm.
that's exactly like the comic in the animated show. And you're like, whoa, that's cool. And
Mhm.
so I think they've done a really great job of giving us what it looks like in live action. Sabine Wren, she's the Mandalorian, and what was a big surprise for everybody here was that she turned out to be a Jedi, or not a Jedi, yeah, a Jedi. We've seen her in the Rebel series that she used a lightsaber, but they ever said that um, so from the Mandalorian, she's the one who actually got the dark saber back. She won it, right?
Mhm.
And she didn't want to become the head of the Mandalorian, so she gave it to another character in the Mandalorian to have it, who then ended up losing it, and then the Mandalorian got it, and then he gave it back to her, right? So
Mhm.
it's back and forth. But in essence, the rule of the Mandalorians is that if you win it, you can unite all the tribes and stuff. But she didn't
Mhm.
want to do it. But we find out now that she was force sensitive, and so therefore Ashoka, when they got together, they started working. I know it's a lot, right? It's a lot of laws, a lot
Force
of
sensitive.
yeah. That's what they're calling it now. More force. You're with
I can't. I can't. The force happens, and I'm sensitive to it. But
yeah.
what about the whole thing in the city where they had the mural?
Well,
Was
that was Sabine drew that. Those were the characters exactly the mural she drew at the end of the Rebels when Thrawn and Ezra Bridger, who was the main
Mhm.
protagonist, he went away. They were taken
Yeah.
by these I call it like space whales that can live in hyperspace. So those are the ones who took them to another galaxy, right? The Purgles, I think they're called. And so she drew that in commemoration, and that's when she met. She'd been meeting Ahsoka throughout the series, but they went together to go see if they could find him. Of course, they didn't find him. As we find out, they came back, and Ahsoka basically like left her, dismissed her as her Padawan. So they have a kind of like you know
Mhm.
issues between them, which they resolve at the end. Where before they didn't want to work together, but now they ended up they needed to work together. You know, Sabine is is an engineer. She's a excellent engineer. She knows how to put things together. She helped to destroy a lot of set up a lot of equipment. But then we can go into that another day.
Hmm.
But yeah, overall, I think she looked pretty good. Sabine, long hair was like, that doesn't look like Sabine. But when they cut her, I was like, all right, that girl
So you
fits.
seen her in the animated thing too?
Yeah, she's the main character in the animated. Everybody you saw on that mural is on the animated show.
Okay.
So Hera Syndulla, the one in green, right? We know who Hera is, right? Hera, she is the captain of the Ghost, the ship, and
Hmm.
she has a actually one of the characters. Her I guess father of her baby was a Jedi Knight. He's the one who helped train Ezra Bridger. You know,
Hmm.
he was a Padawan in the what do you call it? He was a Padawan in the temple when Anakin started killing everybody, and so
Hmm.
he changed his name. He hid out. He went different places, so no one knew who he was. And so he finally hooked up with Harrison Dula, her character, and throughout the there's a is there a relationship? Is there not a relationship? But yeah, there was a relationship clearly because she's a Twi'lek and they had a kid, and so they may most likely their kid may have be force sensitive. Name is Jason, so we'll see what happens there.
You and
A lot of stuff,
your force sensitive stuff.
a lot of force
Well,
sensitive.
I know. I mean, just to jump, I just want to know who is the green person in the second episode. We don't have to get into it, but who is
I
that?
was just talking about Harrison Dula. She's a Twi'lek. The dancing girls.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All of that, and
Okay.
she didn't want to be a dance. She wanted to be a pilot all her life. So her whole
Mm.
culture was against her on that she was supposed to stay home, but she fought against it, and so she left the planet. Her father is actually again in the clone. One of the things her father is in the Clone Wars. He is in Rebels in the
Hmm.
animated show. So you see, he was a rebel leader and he fought, but she didn't want to. She wanted to do her own boss. She wanted to go to the stars, and so you saw the little chopper, her little
Hmm.
R2 unit who's like mouthy and disrespectful and stuff. I
Hmm.
was like one of her only friends at the time. So, she goes,
Okay. Well, she still got the body to be a dancer. I will say, side note, I was really upset because who was it? Jennifer Beals. She was one of those characters in the bar in what's that thing in Boba Fett,
yes.
and then they blew up the bar, and we lost her. But she
She
was
may not
like,
have lost, but she may come back. I don't think there was any defense. She died
but
until you see the body. TV until you see the body. There's no guarantee she's dead. You know, but yeah, Harrison Dula. I think that's Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's been in many other movies. You've seen her before.
yeah, that's but who knew? Isn't she going to be in something recently?
She's in a whole bunch of stuff. But I do like the fact that they're making, like I told you before,
You're a
that
big
Grand
Clone Wars fan.
yeah, Clone One for, but Grand Admiral was Grand Admiral Thrawn was a character made in a book called Heir to the Empire, where it basically re-established the whole Star Wars genre in the novels, and lower in the novels. It just exploded because of the story where they had this guy who's a chiss, and he's just a master strategist, and he's beating Jedi, he's beating admirals, and he's just winning left and right. Almost to the point he nearly took over the whole empire or reconstructed the empire, but then he gets killed by his bodyguard. Shouldn't have said that because they may try to do it here. So
Well, I'm sorry, interrupt. I'm going back to that cat. I didn't know this was that same actress that was in Kate and in Birds of Prey, and like she's really engaged in this one. I'll have to because I don't think she's really that engaged in some of her other films, or she's trying to be this stoic sort of character, and it never seems to work. But this character, she seems to be in character and energized for it. Whereas, I mean, there's nothing to say because obviously, you know, she's going through, Ahsoka's going through her leadership phase, but it's just fun having a light character that was kind of around and, big in stature, tall, that sort of thing. So it was interesting.
it's in this show, she's the mother. If you see the mural, she's the mother of the ship. It's her ship, the Ghost. You know, and she had the little ship that we saw her in. That's also that connects to a bigger ship, and they call that.
Mhm.
but she's the mother of the show. It's her, and then Kanan, who ends up dying, the Jedi. Those are the mother and father of the series, right? So you have Ezra Bridger. I forgot the name of the other character, and then you have Sabine. So they're like their kind of quasi kids. So they act like it's a family together, and so she's trying to get them. She's trying to get both Sabine to work with
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka and Ahsoka too. Because she's saying you two work better together.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being hard on her. So when she ends up losing the star map, she's like, oh, she wasn't any help. But she's like, but she did find out like there's a connection between this and the space yard in Corellia, the naval yard in Corellia.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your take on the fact that you still have Imperials throughout the whole system?
I think that's kind of we need to see what kind of dissension. I don't know if you've seen it in some of the other stories, how they got their legs back.
Ooh.
That's not what the Empire. How they slowly getting their empire. So in Force Awakens, we see they got their new semi Death Star, right? So they're already established in this big thing, and then we never really got to see post Luke how or what people were dissatisfied with and what they felt the Empire would give them.
I'm not talking about the Force Awakens, my friend. We're leaving that alone. Okay, let's use this empire right now. So look, what they're trying to explain is that the empire was so large and so vast, right? And we see it in Mandalorian that the rebels have a tenuous control of the Outer Rim. They have this one guy running, and the planet the Mandalorian will go to, you know, where we see Trevor Lang, no, where we see what's the brother's name again? Where he's the governor, that planet out in the Outer Rim.
With this in the Mandalorian?
Or yeah, I'm not dissing. I'm just trying to explain to you that they have like just one pilot going by one or two pilots going out to the Outer Rim. It's
So
too far.
okay, so they're still holding on. They've given up that land, and they're
Exactly.
not ready to take it
Not
over.
giving up the land. It's just that it's hard to control because the empire was so vast and so big. The empire had thousands of star destroyers, thousands, right? And they ruled by terror. But they killed the emperor, and so when he died, it was easy to take over the capital and the main areas. But that didn't mean all these millions and millions of soldiers and ships, they still existed. Even if 1% still, that would still be hundreds of thousands of people.
Then
And
they
if
lost the war.
we lost the war, but people
No,
were
I'm saying that then the rebels lost the war. They're still mid war. We felt
they
it
won the war.
over.
They won the war, but they haven't won the peace. They haven't told.
Okay.
You still have. They control the big planets now, theoretically. But like she was saying about Corellia, they don't care as long as you pay whoever pays. And these guys were getting paid to make these starships for the Empire, so they were doing well. And so
Yeah.
now the rebels are out, and so now they're breaking up these starships and breaking up parts, and they're probably not getting paid as well. And so they're like, as we see, Morgan Elsbeth still controlled her old company, even though she wasn't there. She was taken prisoner and stuff like that. So it's interesting. And when we see this again, Han Solo is from Corellia. People forget that. That's where if you saw the Han Solo movie, which I think is a doggone good movie, and if you can't,
No, it's not.
you know,
I
uh,
think. Well, keep going.
yeah. But look, I don't want to. What are your thoughts so far of the show?
I need to see more, but I have a character right now in the one you were talking about, Mary Elizabeth
So
Winston.
Harrison Dula.
Yeah, so that one is kind of character I can latch on to. So we'll see how far I can get. So we'll see.
Okay, I hear that. I mean, yeah, I think it looks very, very good. They've done a great job. I know there's a lot of lore that people are going to have to try to get under it, and I think they're doing a basic. They're trying to do a explanation as to what's going on.
Mhm.
The biggest thing was that you had Sabine was a Jedi. Not a Jedi, but someone who's force sensitive, and that's something I wasn't expecting. You know, and but
You're not going to stop using force sensitive.
I don't know what else to say.
You used to say that with the Force Awakens. She's Force sensitive. Now you're saying I can't talk about the Force Awakens.
I'm just saying, Force Awakens. I call this the Filoni verse, right? The Filoni verse or the Mandalorian verse, whatever, it's a much better imagining of the Star Wars universe, and what happened. What happens in this is a guy who's steeped in the whole knowledge. Him and Favreau, who actually understand the lore and they've tried to do as best as they can developing new characters because people like Disney want new characters so they can exploit those IPs, and they're bringing elements also from the games, which is also great too. They
Yeah.
understand people read these books, people played these games, people saw, bring them in. Whereas the main criticism with the Force Awakens and the trilogy is that the sequels is that you get the feeling sometimes these guys don't respect the original stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They did to Luke Skywalker, and how they handle the material going forward just seemed like either they were playing by the numbers or they were like, I'll do what I want to do. And I think you got to respect some of the source material because I think like my big problem here is like take a look at what happened in Fury, right? In Fury's Secret Invasion, right? First of all, it barely touches what Secret Invasion was, as far as I'm concerned. And I try to give it a lot of leeway, but you have the issue also that you kill off characters like Maria Hill, you kill off Talos, characters who's been around for a long time, but they're like they're not integral. But these are fan favorites. They've been around a bit, and if you're going to kill them, make their deaths mean something instead of just being it's a throwaway. And that's to me the problem with it. When they killed Coulson, people were pissed off for a while, but they gave Coulson his own show. It ran 9 seasons.
Well, that's the other thing to say. Like fans are saying, why doesn't Agents of Shield factor into Fury's series? And
Ike Perlmutter ran it,
But he's taking on Daredevil. He took Daredevil and he's using that stuff, and he got to force him to wear the red costume because he's trying to say, oh, we're not going to use the red costume, and now they've got to use the red costume because they're like, hey, we need to make sure these things make money, and we can't play the same. And that's the thing that would work because you'd have these actors. I mean, you'd probably have to give them some money, but the thing of it is, they don't have to show up throughout. They can have cool moments where you don't know if there's people want to see them, and then you can play up because the whole angle of Marvel and Skrulls is you're reading the comic book and you're getting the comic book you want. Oh wow, the X-Men showed up in Fantastic Four. You're gonna be like, I don't care what happens as long as the X-Men is. Oh man, they're Skrulls, and you get all upset, but you got tricked because you wanted it so bad. So then if you had these characters, those would have been the best to be this. I think Ahsoka probably in the same difference needs to lean on a little more. Like they need to come up with a little more of a supporting cast, but they got the rest of these series to pull it together instead of doing the Padawan and the thing and having the wayward Padawan and that sort of thing. So, but you have this character that's cool. You got it all dolled up. Make sure you do some cool things with it, and you have some of these other characters that you can kind of work in there too. Was it Hera Syndulla? That's who you're saying that is? The one I keep describing? Okay, so I'll try to keep that in mind. So yeah. We're saying, right, we're gonna say recommend on this?
Recommend, yes. Anything. I thought you'd recommend anything with Rosario Dawson.
What was it? Not Men in Black 2. I wasn't too keen on that one. I felt that they should have had no, the thing with Rosario Dawson, the first movie is Kids. I don't know if she was one person that was in New York or she was an actor before this, and she has a part where she says she's like 15 in the thing, and she has to say all the stuff she's done. They also have Chloe Sinbini. The two of them were the breakout stars of it. But when you saw, Chloe's character goes through a tough arc. Rosario's character is just this flighty thing that's talking about her sex life, and you're like, oh, she's going to be a star. We know it. And she ultimately became that. And she's been someone that people, seem to love to work with. You
Yeah.
know,
It's interesting because I noticed that she does a lot of sci-fi work, right? And I'm not sure if she's geared to that or if she's tracked on that, but it
I
seems
think.
it
Sorry,
follows.
you know,
It just seems that a lot of her stuff has been a lot of sci-fi lately. You know,
when she had the act the I think the first thing was the audio book that she was voicing.
yeah, she
That
did it.
that was pretty big. And before that, she was doing like, you know, like wouldn't really. I think basically because she was in like the hood flicks. I think I saw it. We had one that had Vanessa Williams and a bunch of people in there about the kids in this rough area. I can't remember what the name of that was. I saw a picture of it. So she was kind of doing like everything, but she was someone that you can see once they get her in the room, she, they just, it's the same way they would describe Jamie Foxx. She's just somebody that when they're in the room with her, they want to work with her. So,
I mean, I'm just saying that she's done Men in Black. She's
hmm?
done Men in Black, like you said.
Yeah.
She's done Sin City. She's done.
Sin City's not really sci-fi, but yeah, that would
I'm
be
talking
in
about
the comic book.
comic book, sci-fi. She's done Wonder Woman. She was Artemis in Wonder Woman. She's done. Um,
I mean, the voice. She's the voice of
yeah, yeah,
Artemis.
right. She was the voice. She's in Percy Jackson. She was. What else? What else she's done? I'm just saying she did Sin City twice again. She's
She's in
in
both senses, yeah.
like the title one, Puerto Ricans in Paris.
She's in the Chris Rock movie Top Five.
Justice League versus Teen Titans again. Justice League Dark. This is the voice. She's in the Lego Batman, the voice. That was 2017. She did a lot of voice. She's done. There was this show that I saw last year that we reviewed that was good. She did the Apocalypse, a lot of Justice League, Apocalypse voice. She's the Wonder Woman in DC. It looks like um, the Reign of Superman, Henchman. That was a good show. I like that. What else? There's this show. It's like on the top of my. It was a sci-fi show that I think it was done by HBO. I think last year, the year before, whereby she had to come into New York. New York was like it's television, so that's what it was.
Mhm.
It was what's it called again? DMZ, which I like
Oh,
the
yeah,
comic.
DMZ. Yeah,
Didn't
yeah,
really,
yeah.
didn't really do to me. It seemed the scope of that was just so much smaller than what was done for the comic. And I understand, the budget for that type of show
Are
was
we
great.
just are we criticizing going through a critique of her career, saying what she did?
No, no, no. We were just saying what she did. Yes, sorry, my
Yeah,
apologies. And so that's what I'm just saying. She has a lot of that background, and I think she does a great job. I mean, I think she did a very good job. She's also done video games. So as a character, Ahsoka, getting back to after everything, I think she's doing a good job right now. I can
yeah,
believe she's Ahsoka, and that's the key thing there. And I know Dave Filoni's putting a lot of work to make sure she looks like Ahsoka, she acts like Ahsoka. But the only problem I've had is just that she seems so conservative. So not conservative, serious. But again, when your master turns out to be Darth Vader, it kind of turns
Well,
everybody.
I think they're allowing they with the thing of they're really happy on the look, so they're kind of just saying let's let the look sell it, and we don't have to worry about the motion. But I mean, it's Ahsoka. We need to have her doing a lot more. I mean, she's doing stuff, but talking, not just being the strong, silent type. Wasn't she like more like a plucky type of
Yes,
character?
very
So
plucky. And
so
she was
like get some, you don't have to bring that out, but the thing of it is that plucky character can turn through a dark person through that sort of thing. But you want to keep something so when people look back at it, they say, "Oh yeah, that's the same character." Not just have to say, "Well, that character evolved." And you
yes,
want to say, "Hey, what bits of that character, what bits of that person's humor works into this character?" Not say when you grow up you shed everything. Now, if you're a person who has a past like you're shy or something like that, those type of things can be shed. But like that's what people do. But most of the time, if you're kind of a energetic type person, you kind of take that on to the next stage. Just taking the baton with a little more different. slightly different fare. So anyway, but yeah, do more with her, and you know, you don't want to rely on. You want to have a good supporting cast, but you want to have her be energetic because she was in the Mandalorian. She was a fun character. She was a little more, you know, she was serious though, and she was kind of, you know, giving us a lot of information to explain stuff to us. But you know, try to find, which was what, try to keep what the voice is, because yeah, you can have your fans kind of describe to you, oh, this character evolved, but you want to be able to see bits of the voice, so you say, yeah, this is the character from the animated series. That's what you want to try to remember.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hey, I think we have an agreement that we definitely like the show and we think it should continue.
Yeah.
And we recommend it fully for anyone who's watching. Spinnerack?
Out.